These cookies banished the Depression blues. After the stock market crash, money was scarce and families enjoyed simple pleasures like reading aloud, taking nature walks, and visiting friends. All occasions for a chewy, hearty cookie like these. Let's make the best cookie of 1930, the Molasses Crinkle. All right, for our molasses crinkles, we're gonna start by mixing shortening, sugar, egg, and molasses thoroughly. So, got some shortening going into the bowl, some brown sugar, some molasses, of course. It's a molasses crinkle, how could you not? Stickiest, most annoying ingredient, and an egg. Let's kind of break this up and get this kind of moving and grooving here. Brown sugar also has molasses in it, right? Isn't it just granulated sugar with molasses? I'm excited for molasses crinkles because the crinkle cookie conceptually is one of my favorites. I make chocolate crinkles every year for Christmas. And basically we're gonna make this dough, we're gonna drop it into a thing of sugar and roll it in the sugar. And then as it bakes, the sugar pulls apart as the dough kind of spreads and creates this like crinkle effect. Wet ingredients pretty much combined. So now we're gonna add our flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just a little tiny bit of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. It's a lot of baking soda, but I think maybe it needs it for the crinkle effect. Then we're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of try to get the dry ingredients a little mixed together here. There we go. And then I'm gonna incorporate the wet into the dry. That's my methodology. I didn't want to dirty 2 bowls. Okay, this cookie's much drier than some of the other doughs we've been working with. The last few cookies we made were more like batter. This is actually giving dough. We're gonna chill this and then we'll finish prepping. Betty's got a note on molasses. Molasses was the chief sweetener in American homes in the 18th and early 19th centuries. Every cabin and covered wagon had its molasses jug. It was used in baking and eaten on flapjacks and on bread. Today, molasses is used more for its rich, mellow flavor than for its sweetening. In recipes in this book, use light molasses unless dark molasses is specified. Light molasses comes from the first boil of the sugarcane stalks, dark from the second. All right, for our molasses crinkles, we are going to kind of scoop out the dough, and roll it into a ball. Then we're gonna dip each ball, it's supposed to be like 1 1/4 inches in diameter. Do we think that's what that looks like? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. We're gonna dip each ball in sugar. Place sugar side up on the cookie tray. And then sprinkle with 2 to 3 drops of water, question mark? 1, 2, 3, like that. I guess that's what we're doing. We'll see what that does. I'm just gonna keep scooping and rolling. Maybe I'll scoop a bunch, and then I'll roll a bunch, and then I'll sugar a bunch. This dough is a lot harder than some of the other doughs in this series, which is kind of nice. It's also kind of crumbly. Okay, it says to place them 3 inches apart on the baking sheet and bake for 10 to 12 minutes at 375. So I'm gonna spread them out a little bit more. We'll get these in the oven. Let's look at some historical highlights from the 1930s. In 1931, the Star-Spangled Banner, which was written in 1814, was made the national anthem. In 1932, Betty Crocker Service responds to the needs of Depression-hit homemakers by creating balanced, low-cost recipes and menus. And in 1934, the Dione quintuplets were born. Okay, time to try the molasses crinkle. Very molasses forward, kind of in between a chewy and a crunchy cookie, which I like. The sugar water situation that we did on the top created like a very craggly, crunchy top, but the inside is very moist because of the molasses. I think it's pretty great. I think it's the best cookie of 1930.